Prior to you joining AEW, there were other conversations that you were having, because obviously in, you know, all of wrestling, a lot of things have been changing quite a bit. So what were some of those conversations, and I guess ultimately the decision for you to sign with AEW?
Yeah, so it was hard because, you know, I was speaking to WWE, and I was like, you know, Hunter was just, he was confused why. Like, he thought I just left WWE, and I was like, no, I wasn't like that. But he was out because he had the heart issues and stuff like that. And I was like, so he just didn't know. And God, he's really sweet, and he really is fantastic. And I was just like, I really was like, okay, like, I think I could I remember telling you, I was like, yeah, man, I feel like I could probably go back there. And he was going to make my schedule easier, you know? And I was just like, man, I feel like I could really do that. And then, you know, AEW come along, and the thing that swayed me was, you know, AEW is a new, fresh company, you know, and I'm like, oh, I could probably benefit from being thrown into like a new mix.
Yeah.
And like, it's going to help me grow, you know, and just, you know, but also, you know, I get to see all my old friends there too. But it was also, Tony just offered me so much freedom outside of, you know,
I thought
my
you were just
work.
going to say, Tony just offered me so much money.
It just offered me so much money. No, because WWE, we didn't even get into money at that point. It was just like, maybe we can do this, you know. There wasn't like a definitive, like, this is the offer, you know, like. But Tony was just very like, he was like, let's do this. And then outside of it, you can do whatever you want. You know, he was just like, I won't ask for a percentage of this. He was like, just as long as you come to work, I'm happy, you know. And I was just like, man, that's really cool. Because you know how during the pandemic I started the Twitch, and then at one point the Twitch was getting taken away. But that wasn't Hunter. Again, none of this is Hunter.
Yeah.
He would let people continue with it in NXT, you know. And so, like, I was like a little like flustered with that, because I was just like, well, what if they don't let me do whatever I want, and then I get stuck sitting at home again, not doing anything? And I'm like, I'm 30 now. Like, I want to start building a career outside of wrestling. Like, I can't just sit around and do nothing like I did for a couple of years. I cannot do that again. Like, that shit was, it was depressing at times. I was just like, and I felt like I was a loser. Like, poor Ronnie. Like, there'd be days where I was just so down, and he was like, are you okay? And then he would offer me, like, me being in his music video to make, you know, to make me feel like I was doing something, or he would like want to keep doing all these things, and he was like being really, like, he was always motivating me. But I was just like, I just feel like I shouldn't have to like rely on you to like give me something. I should, my work should be helping me with that stuff, like giving me this even media stuff and doing all these other things. Like I can be a tool somewhere.
It's also really crazy to, like, I mean, if I will just rattle off like the accomplishments of things that you've done in terms of like really creating and solidifying what is now the women's division in WWE, to now what you're going to be able to do in AEW, to like having the movie made about your family, doing Fighting With My Family, like having that stuff, like doing Total Divas, like having all of these moments in spotlights where you are so busy and like really the central focus of so many things. To step away from that, it's like that would f anybody up.
Yeah, and I've always been busy from when I was 13 years old, and I wanted to just, like, you know, get into wrestling and my family's business and stuff like that. Like, I was always 100% in everything I did. I would send out resumes to different companies, got turned down because I was female. You know, it was just, there was always a mountain to climb, but I was always so busy, and I was like always working somewhere. Like every week my dad would be like, where are you this week? And I'd be like, oh, I'm going to Spain, or I'm going to Turkey. You know, I was just always so busy, non-stop since I was 13 years old. So then that to come to a complete halt, I was just like, I can't sit around and do nothing. Like, that's not in me. Like, and I want to do stuff. Like, it's not as if I wanted to sit around and just like grab a paycheck. Like, I was like, I feel like a bum.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, so yeah, just having the opportunity to be able to go out now and do whatever I want, whenever I want, you know. I mean, if it's like televised things, I would go to Tony and be like, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what we're going to be talking about, you know, just so he can give the all clear for it. He's not going to tell me no, but obviously, you know, they would want, as a business, they want to know the details of what's going on.
Sure.
But they're just so giving. And that's the thing, like, that kind of persuaded me. And the fact, you know, if I can help somewhere with a women's division, then yeah, I would love to be a part of that, because the WWE women's division is in such good hands. I'm like, where would I fit in with this?
Right.
There's so many fantastic female wrestlers there. There's also fantastic female wrestlers in AEW, but AEW is so fresh.
They're like figuring out like the identity of like the women's division. I mean, the whole company. I mean, God, the company's only been around for 3 years. It's 3 years. Small.
Yeah. We could do so much with the women's division. I was just like, man, I would love to be in a fresh place where I could come up with fresh ideas, and, you know, and the girls are so like receptive to them too. Like they're really, really good girls. Like I enjoy working with them. And I'm trying to like make sure none of my words get twisted. You know how words can get twisted?
Oh my God. I know. It's so annoying.
Like,
it's so stupid.
Yeah. Like I loved working with the WWE girls. I was just there for a really long time, and I just wanted something fresh where I could really get stuck in with a new division and help elevate it in any way I possibly could. You know, like it just felt like a new flavor of ice cream, you know?
Yeah. And that being said, okay, so you're home, you're watching AEW come together. You're seeing the likes of obviously a Britt Baker, of now Toni Storm is there, Ruby Soho is there, Athena is there. We've got Jade really coming into her own. Willow has just signed. I mean, God, there's so many women whose names, Jamie Hayter, holy shit. There's so many different women that are there that are great, but like, what were you seeing at home watching this division? Like, what was kind of making you salivate a bit?
Just the fact that, I mean, having fresh faces where I can potentially work with was the most important part. Like, you know, there is old faces that I recognize there, but like, I was like, man, like working with Jamie Hayter could be really cool.
Do you guys know each other prior?
Chance.
Do I just assume you guys know each other because you're both British? No, you don't.
No, but people assume because we're both British, right? Yeah. But they really do. But I'm like,
and her name's Paige.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, like this is meant to be. But like also Toni, I just always, like, I knew her before, obviously, but like I never got to work her, and I just thought she's one of the most amazing wrestlers, you know? And I was just like, man, I would love to work with her in some capacity. It was just, again, a different flavor of ice cream where it was just like, and I wanted the girls to get even more time.
Yeah.
Because I know like the shows are a little shorter, but I'm just like, we could still benefit from having more time with the women, but also more segments with the women, you know? Because I feel like these ladies are really, really good. Yeah. They are really good. It's just like a lot of the time, like, you know, you want to give them more of a platform too.
Of course. And I mean, God, if anyone's been there and done that, it's you. You've already done that and had to fight for that. So, you know, it's not a matter of fighting for it. At one point, yes, it was. But I feel like, now it's a matter of like TV time, great storylines. And I think, I think that's the big thing, is being able to have like really awesome storylines for the girls to sink their teeth into, for the fans to really like sit back and clamor for more of that. Which, I mean, I guess that kind of leads us to Britt Baker, because she essentially has been what the identity of the women's division is in AEW. So for you to be able to now be working opposite her and stepping into this thing that she has built, what is like the dynamic of that relationship, I guess? And like, I guess just from you, even before you signed to AEW, to like seeing what she's been able to do there in terms of like the matches she's had, the championship run she had, you know, having like the lights out matches, the unsanctioned matches, like all of these things that she's been able to do.
I feel like people forget, like before the 3 years, like she was wrestling and stuff like that, but she kind of got thrusted into this spotlight. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, if someone just instantly got signed to WWE and then instantly got put on the main roster without, you know, going through okay, how do we work these hard cams? How do we do these promos? How do we do, like, you know, that's what people in NXT have to go through. So the fact that she was able to jump in and she was learning as she was going too, I find that really cool. And I feel like she doesn't get her flowers enough when it comes to that kind of stuff. Because, you know, she said to me before, she was just like, I've been learning these promos on the spot. Like, I've been asking, like, you know, the guys, like, how to do certain things, like inflections, facials, like everything. Mm-hmm. She was like, because I was not used to working the cameras and doing promos to these big of an audience, you know, and just, so I just feel like that's really cool and inspiring that she kind of just got thrust in there and she's doing such a great job. And you can tell that she's comfortable in her role now. Like, she's really comfortable in her shoes and where her character's going and what her character should and shouldn't do. And it takes people a long time to do that. But
It does.
It's only been 3 years.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I think it's very easy for people to go, oh, that person's good at what they do. But when like you've been there and you've done that and you understand, like it truly does take a long time to become so seasoned at doing that. And she's done it in such a short amount of time is very impressive.
Well, I said the same to Sonia because contrary to that promo, I was pretty good at doing freaking promos before. And I was comfortable with them, right? Mm-hmm. So like Sonia, before we go out there to do absolution stuff, she'd be like, how are you so comfortable? And I'm just like, one day a flip will switch and you just become comfortable. It's crazy. But it took me years to even get to that. So like, and one day Sonia was like, text me and she was just like, a flip switch. She was like, I just feel so much more comfortable. She was like, I don't know what it is. One day you just realize like, this is who I am. I'm comfortable with being who I am. And I know what direction my character is going. So the fact that Britt came in, got shoved into the deep end and was like learning as she went, but got really comfortable really quick of who she was. I mean, that's talent, first of all. That's talent. And a lot of people don't have that confidence that she does after, a couple of years.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so now as we get ready for you to wrestle again, where's your head? Like, where is your headspace with that? How is your style going to change given the circumstances? I know that you are fully cleared without any restrictions, but I assume some stylistic changes might have to come into play, at least as you're kind of getting your feet wet again.
Yeah. So I wasn't too crazy before when I wrestled, right? I would do a lot of like mat work and all that kind of stuff, but I did love taking a bump. Like that was my favorite thing, is to take a bump. So like, obviously, I'm not going to be bumping like crazy. There is going to be bumps. Like I can't just go into a match with like 0 bumps, but I'm fully aware of stuff that I can't do when it comes to anything from behind. Like that's more of like a PTSD thing too, where I'm just like, please don't do anything from behind. Like that's something like I would absolutely not tolerate. That would piss me off. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, like until I'm fully comfortable with something, like don't do anything from behind when I'm not aware of it. Like if there was something you could call, like, I mean, a forearm across the back and stuff like that. I'm just talking about a kick or something like that. Something that you could lose control over. I'm just like, that's the thing. Like I'm a little cautious of, but for the most part, there is like the bumping and stuff like that. Like I'm doing some training and stuff around California right now. The bumping and stuff is like a little bit different. I have to adjust the way I did it because I was a person that used to just fling my body back and it would be like mostly neck, so I have to learn how to like flat back bump properly without absolutely creaming myself or killing myself. I don't want to say that.
Yeah, right? God.
Absolutely killing myself. Yeah, so...
do you feel nervous? Like, do you feel nervous to have this first match?
Well, it's the same with the promo, right?
Yeah.
It was like my first promo back, no script. Everybody was watching because they wanted to know what I was going to say. It was a big moment. This match is a big moment.
Yeah.
People haven't seen me wrestle in 5 years, and they've only seen me wrestle in a WWE capacity.
Yeah.
And so like, and with the whole
time
neck
to get
thing,
Brittany Knight back, bitches.
Yeah, bring Brittany Knight back. like the old Gypsy Queen, as Moxley called it, right?
Yeah.
So again, I wanted to thank your husband because he's been so hands-on after that promo. Mm-hmm. You too, like. The whole thing, like, last week with the interview, you two were just like brainstorming off each other. And I'm just like, I feel like I'm having like a brain fart. I feel like I can't think for myself. And you and John are just like, we could be like, boom, 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 going back and forth. And I'm like, you two are just mum and dad. They're fantastic. Like, the duo are just very creative, very, very creative together, separately, but also together. Like, you two could run a wrestling show.